Captain Arya Morgan stared at the alien ship on the view screen, her heart pounding. The humans had finally encountered another sentient species, and the first contact wasn't going as peacefully as they'd hoped. The towering Xerthians, with their crimson exoskeletons and multifaceted eyes, demanded humanity's immediate surrender. The Xerthian leader, High Commander Zaylor, stood imposing and unyielding on the view screen, his voice a low, menacing growl. "Humans, you have trespassed into Xerthian space. Surrender now, or face annihilation." Arya took a deep breath, her mind racing. She knew the Endeavor was no match for the Xerthian battleship in a direct confrontation. She turned to her crew, their eyes filled with a mix of fear and determination. "Open a channel," she ordered. "High Commander Zaylor, we come in peace," Arya began, choosing her words carefully. "We seek knowledge and understanding. There is much we can learn from each other." Zaylor's eyes narrowed. "Peace, understanding. These are the words of the weak. We Xerthians respect only strength." Arya clenched her fists, her mind racing for a solution. Before she could respond, Ambassador Tal Koss stepped forward, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to the tension in the room. "High Commander Zaylor," Tal said smoothly, "allow us to demonstrate our strength in a different way. Let us prove our worth through a test of strategy and skill, rather than brute force." Zaylor's mandibles clicked together thoughtfully. "Very well, human, we will test your mettle. But know this, failure will result in your immediate destruction." The view screen went dark, and Arya let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding. "Prepare for anything," she ordered her crew. "We need to show them what we're capable of." Ambassador Tal Koss, known for his unorthodox methods, stepped forward to negotiate. The tension in the room was palpable as he presented humanity not as conquerors but as survivors, offering trade and mutual benefits. The Xerthians, skeptical but intrigued, decided to test humanity's mettle. "Captain, I suggest we showcase our strategic capabilities," Tal said, turning to Arya. "We need to prove that we are not only resilient, but also valuable allies." Arya nodded, appreciating Tal's insight. "What do you have in mind?" Tal smiled, a glint of confidence in his eyes. "A game of chess, modified for our purposes. It's a universal symbol of strategy and intellect. We can adapt it to include elements of our technology and tactics." Arya raised an eyebrow. "You think they'll go for it?" "I believe so," Tal replied. "They respect strength and strategy. This will be our chance to show them both." The Endeavor's engineers worked around the clock to create a holographic chessboard, integrating human and Xerthian elements. The next day, the Xerthians accepted the challenge, intrigued by the concept. The game was intense, with both sides employing cunning strategies. Tal's moves were bold and unpredictable, countering Zaylor's aggressive tactics with finesse. The tension in the room grew with each move, the crew holding their breath as the game progressed. Finally, after hours of strategic maneuvering, Tal made a decisive move, checkmating Zaylor's king. The room erupted in cheers, the humans celebrating their hard-won victory. Zaylor studied the board, his expression unreadable. After a moment, he nodded. "You have proven yourselves, humans. You are worthy of our respect. We will not destroy you, but our alliance is far from certain." Tal inclined his head. "Thank you, High Commander. We hope this is the beginning of a fruitful relationship between our peoples." As the Xerthians departed, Arya turned to Tal, a smile on her face. "That was impressive, Ambassador. You might have just saved us all." Tal chuckled. "Just doing my job, Captain. But we must remain vigilant. The Xerthians are not easily swayed." A sudden ambush by a Xerthian raiding party caught the human ship, Endeavor, off guard. Lieutenant Sienna Velasquez led a defense team, showcasing humanity's strategic prowess and tenacity. They repelled the attackers, but not without losses, solidifying the Xerthians' respect for the human spirit. It happened without warning. The Endeavor was cruising through an uncharted sector of space when the alarms blared, signaling an imminent attack. Arya rushed to the bridge, barking orders as she assessed the situation. "Incoming Xerthian ships, Captain," shouted Lieutenant Velasquez, her eyes glued to the tactical display. "They're jamming our communications and weapons systems." Arya's mind raced. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers. We need to buy some time to get our systems back online." The Endeavor lurched as the first wave of Zerthian fire hit their shields. The crew worked feverishly to counter the attack, but the Zerthians were relentless. "Lieutenant Velasquez, take a team and secure the engineering bay," Arya ordered. "We need those systems back online now." Sienna nodded, her expression steely. "Aye, Captain. Team Alpha with me." The team moved swiftly through the corridors, encountering pockets of Zerthian raiders along the way. Sienna led with precision, her tactical acumen and combat skills on full display. They fought their way to the engineering bay, where the situation was dire. "Get those systems back up," Sienna shouted to the engineers, her pulse pounding as she took down another Zerthian warrior. "We need weapons and shields now." The engineers worked frantically, and within minutes the systems flickered back to life. Sienna's team held the line, buying precious time for the Endeavor to regain its footing. On the bridge, Arya's face lit up as the tactical display showed their weapons coming online. "Fire at will," she commanded. The Endeavor unleashed a barrage of firepower, the Zerthian ships faltering under the sudden onslaught. One by one, the enemy ships were destroyed or forced to retreat. When the dust settled, Arya surveyed the damage. The Endeavor had taken heavy hits, and there were casualties, but they had survived. She turned to Sienna, who was bruised but standing tall. "Excellent work, Lieutenant," Arya said, her voice filled with gratitude. "You saved us." Sienna nodded, her face grim. "Just doing my duty, Captain. But this isn't over. The Zerthians won't give up that easily." Arya agreed. The ambush had shown that the Zerthians still saw them as a threat, but it also demonstrated humanity's resilience and strength. They had proven themselves once again, and the fight was far from over. In these opening chapters, humanity faces the dual challenges of diplomacy and combat, showcasing their strategic brilliance and indomitable spirit. The story sets the stage for deeper alliances and fiercer battles, drawing readers into a captivating tale of survival and unity. In the aftermath of the ambush, Captain Arya Morgan gathered her senior staff in the war room. The atmosphere was tense. The recent attack had left everyone on edge. Arya began the meeting by addressing the most pressing issue. "We have a traitor among us," she said, her voice grave. "Dr. Heron Lynn has been feeding information to the Zerthians. We need to find out why and who else might be involved." The revelation shocked the crew. Dr. Lynn had always been a respected member of the team, known for his brilliance and dedication. Lieutenant Sienna Velasquez was the first to speak up. "Dr. Lynn, are you sure, Captain?" Sienna asked, her disbelief evident. Arya nodded. "We've intercepted communications that point directly to him. We need to act quickly before any more damage is done. Sienna, I want you to lead the investigation." Sienna accepted the assignment, her resolve hardening. "I'll get to the bottom of this, Captain." As Sienna and her team delved into the investigation, they uncovered a web of deceit that stretched far deeper than they had anticipated. Dr. Lynn had been in contact with multiple alien factions, each with its own interest in humanity. It became clear that the Zerthians were just one of many threats. Dr. Lynn, when confronted, tried to justify his actions. "I did what I had to do for the survival of humanity," he argued. "We need allies, and the Zerthians were willing to offer us protection in exchange for information." "But at what cost?" Sienna retorted. "You put all of our lives at risk. You're a traitor to your own people." Dr. Lynn was placed in confinement, but his revelations raised more questions than answers. The crew of the Endeavor now faced a more complex and dangerous galaxy than they had ever imagined. Desperate for allies, the humans reached out to the Xel'Naga, a technologically advanced but reclusive race. The Xel'Naga's leader, High Sage Valtor, was wary, but agreed to a tenuous alliance against their common foe, the Zerthians. Ambassador Talkos led the diplomatic mission to the Xel'Naga homeworld, hoping to secure their support. The journey was fraught with uncertainty, as the Xel'Naga were known for their secrecy and isolation. Upon arrival, Tal and his team were escorted to a grand hall, where High Sage Valtor awaited them. The Xel'Naga leader was an imposing figure, his presence exuding an aura of wisdom and power. "Welcome, humans," Valtor greeted them, his voice resonating with a calm authority. "Why have you come to our world?" Tal stepped forward, his demeanor respectful but confident. We seek an alliance, High Sage. The Xerthians threaten us all. Together, we can stand against them and ensure peace for our peoples. Valtor regarded Tal with a critical eye. The Xerthians are a formidable enemy. Why should we trust you, humans, when you are so new to this galaxy? Tal didn't flinch. Because we offer more than just words. We bring technology, strategy, and a willingness to learn. We have proven our resilience and our capability in battle. We seek not to conquer, but to coexist. Valtor considered this for a moment before nodding slowly. Very well. We will enter into a provisional alliance. But know this. Trust must be earned, not given. Any betrayal will be met with swift retribution. The alliance with the Xel'Naga brought new hope to the crew of the Endeavor. With their advanced technology and strategic insights, humanity's chances against the Xerthians improved significantly. However, the tenuous nature of this alliance meant that they had to tread carefully, balancing diplomacy with the ever-present threat of war. During a diplomatic mission to the Xel'Naga homeworld, Arya and her team were ambushed by rogue elements within the Xel'Naga, who saw the alliance as a threat. Narrowly escaping, they returned to the Endeavor with a clearer understanding of the complexities of interstellar politics. The mission had started smoothly enough. The Endeavor's delegation, including Captain Arya Morgan, Ambassador Tal Kos, and Lieutenant Sienna Velasquez, had been invited to a Xel'Naga research facility to discuss technological exchanges. As they toured the facility, marveling at the advanced technology, they were suddenly attacked. A group of Xel'Naga dissidents opposed to the alliance launched a coordinated strike. The ambush was swift and brutal, catching the humans off guard. Blaster fire erupted and chaos ensued as Arya and her team fought to defend themselves. "We need to get out of here," Arya shouted, taking cover behind a console. "Sienna, cover our retreat." Sienna fired back at the attackers, her aim precise and deadly. "On it, Captain. Tal, stay close." The team made their way through the labyrinthine facility, fighting off attackers at every turn. The betrayal stung, but their survival instincts kicked in. They couldn't afford to dwell on the politics now. They needed to get back to the Endeavor. Finally, they reached the landing bay, where their shuttle awaited. They scrambled aboard, with Sienna providing covering fire until the last moment. As the shuttle took off, Arya glanced back at the burning facility, her mind racing with thoughts of what this betrayal meant for their fledgling alliance. Upon returning to the Endeavor, they reported the attack to High Sage Valtor, who was visibly disturbed by the news. "These dissidents do not represent the will of the Xel'Naga," he assured them. "We will deal with them swiftly. Our alliance stands, but be wary. There are those who will stop at nothing to see it fail." The incident had given Arya and her team a harsh lesson in interstellar politics. Trust was a rare commodity, and alliances were fragile. They would have to navigate these treacherous waters carefully, balancing their quest for allies with the ever-present danger of betrayal. In these chapters, the complexity of interstellar diplomacy and the constant threat of betrayal are highlighted, adding layers of intrigue and tension to the story. Humanity's resilience and strategic acumen are put to the test as they navigate alliances and confront their enemies, keeping readers engaged in the unfolding drama. The Xerthians launched a full-scale assault on the human colony at Kyler Ridge. Captain Arya Morgan and Commander Jackson Kane orchestrated a brilliant defense, showcasing humanity's strategic prowess and tenacity. The battle was fierce, with both sides suffering heavy casualties, but humanity's resilience turned the tide. The alarm sounded throughout the colony, and Arya's voice came over the loudspeakers. "All personnel, this is not a drill. The Xerthians are attacking. Prepare for immediate combat. Defend Kyler Ridge at all costs." Arya stood on the command deck, her eyes fixed on the holographic display of the battlefield. The Xerthians had deployed a formidable fleet, and their ground forces were already engaging the colony's defenses. "Jackson, take your team and secure the eastern perimeter," Arya ordered. "We can't let them breach the main facility." Commander Jackson Kane, a seasoned soldier with a reputation for being both fearless and brilliant, nodded. "Understood, Captain. We'll hold the line." Jackson led his troops through the maze of trenches and barricades that formed Kyler Ridge's defenses. The sound of blaster fire and explosions filled the air as they engaged the Zerthian forces. Jackson's leadership and tactical skills were put to the test as he coordinated the defense, utilizing every available resource to repel the attackers. Meanwhile, Arya directed the space battle from the command deck. The Endeavor and its fleet engaged the Zerthian warships in a deadly dance of maneuvers and firepower. The sky above Kylo Ridge was filled with streaks of laser fire and the explosions of destroyed ships. Despite the overwhelming odds, the human forces fought with unmatched determination. Jackson and his team managed to push back the Zerthian ground forces, while Arya's strategic acumen ensured that the fleet held its own against the Zerthian onslaught. After hours of relentless combat, the tide of battle began to turn. The Zerthians, faced with the unyielding resistance of the human defenders, started to retreat. The colony was battered but not broken, and the Zerthian forces were forced to withdraw. As the dust settled, Arya surveyed the battlefield. The cost had been high, with many lives lost, but Kylo Ridge had been saved. She turned to Jackson, who was bloodied but triumphant. "You did it, Jackson," Arya said, her voice filled with gratitude. "You held the line." Jackson nodded, his expression weary but resolute. "We all did, Captain. This victory is a testament to our strength and our resolve." Dr. Lin, seeking redemption, uncovered ancient technology on a derelict ship that could turn the tide of war. The technology, left by a long-extinct race known as the Draconis, hinted at a power beyond reckoning, but required a dangerous mission to retrieve. In the aftermath of the battle, Dr. Heron Lin approached Arya with a discovery that could change everything. "Captain, I found something. An ancient ship abandoned and drifting in the Kuiper Belt. It's Draconis in origin, and it might hold the key to defeating the Zerthians." Arya was skeptical, but intrigued. "What makes you think this technology can help us?" Dr. Lin showed her the data he had collected. The Draconis were a highly advanced civilization, far beyond anything we've seen. If we can harness their technology, it could give us a decisive advantage. Arya studied the data, her mind racing with possibilities. "We can't pass up this opportunity, but it sounds dangerous. We need to be prepared for anything." Dr. Lin nodded. "I understand. I'll assemble a team and prepare an expedition. With your permission, Captain." "Permission granted," Arya replied, "but I'm coming with you. We can't afford any mistakes." The expedition team, led by Arya and Dr. Lin, boarded a small research vessel and set course for the Kuiper Belt. As they approached the derelict Draconis ship, they were awed by its size and complexity. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. Inside the ship, the team encountered numerous challenges, from malfunctioning systems to ancient defense mechanisms. But Dr. Lin's expertise and Arya's leadership guided them through the obstacles. Finally, they reached the ship's central chamber, where the Draconis technology was stored. It was a powerful energy source, capable of amplifying their weapons and shields to unprecedented levels. "This is it," Dr. Lin said, his voice filled with awe. "With this, we can turn the tide of the war." Arya nodded, her eyes gleaming with determination. "Let's get it back to the Endeavor. We have a war to win." Arya and her crew ventured into the perilous Abyssal Nebula to retrieve the Draconis technology. Facing spatial anomalies and hostile creatures, they forged deeper bonds of trust and camaraderie. Their success came at a high cost, with some crew members making the ultimate sacrifice. The Abyssal Nebula was a region of space known for its treacherous conditions. Navigating through it required not only skill, but also nerves of steel. As the Endeavor entered the nebula, the crew braced themselves for the challenges ahead. "Stay sharp, everyone," Arya instructed. "We're entering uncharted territory. Anything could happen." The nebula was a chaotic maelstrom of energy and matter, with spatial anomalies that could tear the ship apart. The Endeavor's sensors struggled to provide accurate readings, and the crew relied on their instincts and teamwork to navigate through the dangers. At one point, the ship was attacked by a swarm of hostile creatures that lived within the nebula. The creatures latched onto the hull, trying to breach the ship's defenses. The crew fought them off with everything they had, but not without sustaining damage. "Engineering, I need a status report," Arya called out. "We've got breaches in multiple sectors, Captain," came the reply. We're working on repairs, but we need more time. Arya gritted her teeth. Keep at it. We can't afford to lose this ship. As they ventured deeper into the nebula, they encountered a massive spatial anomaly that threatened to pull them into a black hole. The ship's engines strained against the gravitational forces, and it was only through the combined efforts of the entire crew that they managed to escape. The cost was high. Several crew members had sacrificed their lives to ensure the ship's survival. Arya mourned their loss, but knew they couldn't afford to stop. The Draconis technology was their only hope. Finally, they reached the core of the nebula, where the Draconis energy source was located. It was a dazzling, pulsating crystal, radiating immense power. We did it, Dr. Lin said, his voice filled with a mix of triumph and sorrow. We found it. Arya nodded, her heart heavy with the cost of their journey. Let's get this back to the Endeavor. Our fallen comrades didn't die in vain. Back on the Endeavor, the crew worked tirelessly to integrate the Draconis technology into their ship's systems. The new weaponry and defenses provided a significant edge, but it also attracted the attention of more powerful adversaries. The Endeavor's engineering bay was a hive of activity as the crew installed the Draconis energy source. The technology was unlike anything they had ever encountered, and integrating it into their systems was a monumental task. Careful with that connection, Dr. Lin instructed. We don't want to overload the circuits. Chief Engineer Rhea Harkness nodded, her hands deftly working on the intricate wiring. I've got it. Just a few more adjustments and we should be good to go. After days of relentless work, the integration was complete. The Endeavor now boasted advanced weaponry and nearly impenetrable shields, powered by the Draconis energy source. Arya stood on the bridge watching as the new systems came online. The ship hummed with power and the crew's morale soared. This is incredible, Sienna said, her eyes wide with amazement. We're practically invincible now. Arya smiled, but her expression was tinged with caution. Let's not get too confident. We've made a lot of enemies, and they won't take kindly to us having this kind of power. Her words proved prophetic. It wasn't long before the Endeavor picked up signals from an unknown fleet approaching their position. The ships were massive, dwarfing even the Zerthian battleships. Captain, we have incoming, Sienna reported. They're not Zerthian. This is a new threat. Arya's mind raced. Prepare for battle. Let's see what this new technology can do. The Endeavor engaged the enemy fleet, its new weapons blazing with unprecedented power. The enemy ships were formidable, but the Draconis technology gave the humans a decisive edge. The battle was fierce, but the Endeavor emerged victorious. The new weaponry and defenses had proven their worth, but Arya knew that their newfound power would only attract more attention. As the crew celebrated their victory, Arya stood by the viewport, gazing at the stars. The journey had been long and fraught with peril, but they had come out stronger. However, she knew that the real challenges were yet to come. We've won this battle, she said quietly to herself, but the war is far from over. Realizing the need for a unified front, humanity spearheaded a coalition of different alien races, each bringing unique strengths to the table. The coalition's formation was fraught with disagreements and cultural clashes, but common goals forged an unbreakable alliance. Captain Arya Morgan and Ambassador Talcos stood before the assembled representatives of various alien races aboard the Endeavor. The room was filled with tension as they prepared to address the coalition. The Xel'Naga, Zerthian defectors, and several other species were present, each with their own agendas and concerns. Ladies and gentlemen, Tal began, his voice calm and authoritative, we are gathered here today because we face a common threat. The Zerthians and other forces in this galaxy seek to dominate and destroy us, but together we can stand against them. A Xel'Naga representative, High Sage Valter, spoke up. Unity is a noble goal, but our differences run deep. How can we trust each other when we have so much history of conflict? Arya stepped forward. Trust is earned through action. We have already fought alongside some of you and proven our commitment. This coalition is not just about survival. It's about creating a future where all our species can thrive. The discussions were long and heated. Cultural differences and past grievances surfaced. threatening to derail the coalition before it could even form. But Tal and Arya remained steadfast, mediating disputes and emphasizing the greater good. The turning point came when Jackson Kane shared his experiences from the Battle of Kylor Ridge. We fought together and bled together. Our differences didn't matter when we were united against a common enemy. We need to remember that feeling and carry it forward. Gradually, the representatives began to see the value in unity. They agreed to form a coalition, each race contributing its strengths: Xel'Naga technology, Zerthian combat prowess, and the humans' indomitable spirit. The coalition's first act was to establish a joint command structure, with Arya appointed as the overall commander, due to her proven leadership. It was a fragile alliance, but it was a start. With the coalition assembled, Arya led a daring assault on the Zerthian stronghold. The battle was colossal, involving thousands of ships and ground forces. Arya's tactical genius and the humans' indomitable spirit played a crucial role in dismantling the Zerthian defenses. The coalition fleet gathered near the Zerthian stronghold, a heavily fortified asteroid known as Bloodrock. The tension was palpable as they prepared for the largest battle any of them had ever faced. "All units prepare for engagement," Arya commanded, her voice steady. "Remember, we fight not just for ourselves, but for the future of all our worlds." The coalition fleet surged forward, led by the Endeavor. The initial assault was met with fierce resistance. Zerthian warships, bristling with weapons, engaged the coalition forces, while ground troops prepared to defend Bloodrock's surface. Arya's mind worked at lightning speed, issuing orders and adjusting tactics. The Draconis technology integrated into the Endeavor proved invaluable, cutting through enemy ships with precision. On the ground, Jackson Kane led a coalition strike team in a daring raid on the Zerthian command center. The fighting was brutal, with every inch of ground contested, but Jackson's leadership and the diverse skills of the coalition forces gave them an edge. "Move forward," Jackson shouted over the din of battle. "We need to take that command center." As the battle raged on, Arya received a critical piece of intelligence from Sienna Velasquez. "Captain, we've identified a weak point in the Zerthian defenses. If we can exploit it, we can break their lines." Arya didn't hesitate. "All units, concentrate fire on the coordinates provided by Lieutenant Velasquez. This is our chance to end this." The coalition forces focused their attacks on the identified weak point. The Zerthian defenses began to crumble, and the tide of battle shifted in favor of the coalition. Jackson and his team reached the command center, breaching its defenses and capturing the Zerthian leaders. The sight of their commanders being taken down demoralized the Zerthian forces, leading to a swift collapse of their remaining defenses. The battle was won. Bloodrock was captured, and the Zerthian threat was neutralized. The cost had been high, but the coalition had emerged victorious. The Zerthians were defeated, and the coalition celebrated their hard-won peace. However, the cost was immense, with many lives lost and entire planets scarred by war. Arya reflected on the journey, realizing that humanity's greatest weapon was not their technology or strength, but their ability to unite and inspire hope. The aftermath of the battle saw the coalition forces working together to rebuild. The Endeavor returned to Earth, carrying both the triumph of victory and the weight of loss. In a solemn ceremony, the fallen heroes were honored. Arya stood before the gathered crowd, her voice filled with emotion. "Today, we remember those who gave their lives for our freedom. Their sacrifice will never be forgotten." Jackson, Sienna, and Tal stood by her side, each bearing the scars of their journey. The victory had come at a great cost, but it had also forged unbreakable bonds between them. As the coalition worked to establish a new order in the galaxy, Arya reflected on the path they had taken. The alliances they had built, the battles they had fought, and the sacrifices they had made had all led to this moment. Humanity had proven itself not just as a force to be reckoned with, but as a beacon of hope and unity. The coalition stood as a testament to what could be achieved when diverse races and cultures came together for a common cause. Arya looked out at the stars, a sense of peace washing over her. "We've come a long way," she said quietly, But this is just the beginning. The future is ours to shape together. The galaxy was still a dangerous place, filled with challenges and uncertainties. But with the coalition united, they faced the future with hope and determination. Humanity's greatest weapon, their ability to inspire and unite, had proven to be the key to their survival and their victory.